Good evening, adventurers, and welcome back to the Maze. I am the Master of Mazes, Carl. With me, as always, is my son, the apprentice, Stephen.
Howdy, howdy.
And we welcome you all to MazeCast episode number 20. We've got a lot to jump into, so let's get right into it. What's new at the Master of Mazes? Wow. DMing has become a part-time job, one I love, so I don't really like the word job when I talk about it, but running 3 campaigns right now, all of them paid games. So a lot of my free time is eaten up with prepping for games, going over notes, things like that. But it's a lot of fun. I'm having an absolute blast. I would love to be able to do this full time for a living. So right now we got the Master and Apprentice campaign, where that was the last game we played this past Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
and we have gotten the. Have we got that recap up yet, Steve? No, we
No,
haven't.
I'm like
Have we?
halfway done with it. I'll probably have the recap up in the next couple days.
Yep. So we'll have that recap up, and then we're going to play again this weekend. We're still waiting on a couple of people to get together with what their times are of availability are, but
Mm-hmm.
looks like we're going to be playing every week for every weekend right now for the foreseeable future. So having a lot of fun with that campaign. So check back with us on our website for the recap. We will get that up, and I'll post a link on all of our socials once we do. So.
Mm-hmm.
The Order of the Flagon, which is my other paid game, that one runs on Saturdays. We didn't play this past Saturday. We had some availability issues. Right? D&D availability issues. Imagine
Mm-hmm.
that.
Hand in hand.
Yeah, but we are playing this Saturday. We'll be starting a little bit later than usual, just to help out one person who's going to be running late. But that one will run into the evening. So our host says, as long as we don't wake his wife up, we are okay. So who knows how long that one might run on Saturday. But session recap for episode 2 or session 2 is up over on our website. So we'll have a link for that in the show notes for you guys to check it out.
Mm-hmm.
So session 3 recap should be up by Sunday afternoon, Monday morning at the latest. Kingdom of Keshinar. So that game is still going. We wrapped up session 3. That recap was put up on our website for our game that played on Friday the 16th. I'm sorry, Friday
The
the
13th, I
13th.
think.
Friday
Yeah.
the 13th, yeah, day before Valentine's Day. We will be playing that game. Session 4 is coming up this Friday, the 27th. So be looking for that recap to go up probably Saturday or Sunday, just depending on how things work out with my scheduling on the weekend. Um, but Stephen was asking me, how is the Kingdom of Keshinar going now that we have gotten the PDF from the fine folks over at Orthanc Productions? It's going pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of material in this book. It's over 500 pages, so it is a huge source book.
Mm-hmm.
It covers everything from new races, new subclasses. Shout out to them for the Paladin of Balance subclass. I really like the way that's worded out. I think that's a great new subclass. I would like to try it at some point in the future. But there are new magic items, new spells, new gods. I mean, new everything. It's an entirely new setting,
Mm-hmm.
Egyptian based. If you haven't already heard about it or heard us talk about it on the podcast before, some great things in that book. I am still trying to get through reading all of it to try to familiarize myself with more, but I am using that at our table last session on the 13th, and I will be have it open and on my laptop again this week. So more to come from that as we read more into the book. We'll share some of the art with you guys and some of our thoughts on some of the subclasses and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have some TTRPG news we'd like to get into. D&D Beyond's development team has announced their roadmap, which includes a complete rebuild of the D&D Beyond platform. That means they're going to have a full rebuild of the game's platform's engine, a new character builder, tools for dungeon masters, and a bunch of other things that they're promising in the future. We'll have a link for that article in the show notes. Um, I'm kind of mixed minds on it. I mean, I'm open to see what they do with it, but I think when they were working on Sigil and they were talking about blending the 2 platforms together, that was probably the time to strike. I don't know if now's a little too little, a little too late, but I'm willing to watch and see what they got. What are your thoughts, Stephen?
Yeah, I'm kind of in there with you. I just, I feel like D&D Beyond, from what I know about it, I don't interact with it very much because I don't really have a need to. But
Right.
when it was shopped or initially, and they were kind of talking through the functionality they wanted it to have, it's not even close to that. like it's pretty far away from kind of what they were shopping at. Like it was like a all-in-one, source material, and virtual tabletop platform, like all in one environment. And I guess it is a source. It's great for like buying books and having them virtually, but they don't really have like a, again, in my opinion, they don't have like a very fleshed out VTT.
Right.
I'd love if they did. I'd love it. Dad and I talked before I got back into D&D, and really before we even kicked this project off, about having a way to play entirely virtual, like Roll20, but have it embedded inside of an official D&D platform where the books and everything were
Right.
built in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they had the chance to do that, and they, for whatever reason, they couldn't figure it out, or they don't have the technology. I don't really know what. So
Right.
part of me is kind of excited that they're rebuilding it, but also I guess I'm cautiously optimistic. Is how I would put
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. That's where I'm at. I want to be optimistic. I'm not one of these guys who's just going to crap all over Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro, but they've let us down quite a few times in the past.
Yeah.
I'm optimistic for the community and for whatever tools can be brought to us by those who own the IP,
Mhm.
to allow us to have a better game experience. Whatever that might be, I'm down for it, or at least want to give it a chance to see what it does. So, you talked about not really being somebody who utilizes D&D Beyond. My my Order of the Flagons game on Saturdays is a perfect example of old school and new school, because I've got two IT guys. They're both IT technicians or security people, and they both use D&D Beyond, and they have their tablets up,
Mhm.
right? So they're tablet guys. Everything is just touch a button, roll my dice. Sometimes they roll their dice virtually, sometimes they do it on the table. But then I've got two old school guys. Well, funny thing is, one old school guy and a brand new guy to the community, who has played Baldur's Gate 3 but has never played the tabletop game.
Mhm.
He and the old school guy both, Pat, they both use actual physical character sheets, roll dice, writing stuff down in notebooks and stuff. So it's a neat dichotomy to see. And the funny thing is, the two guys using paper set on one side of the table, and the two guys using their VTT set up on the other side. And it's interesting, but I mean, there's a place for everybody at the table, right?
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
Hasbro also announced that it is using a human-centric approach to AI. You make of that what you will. So they reported their Q4 2025 earnings this past Tuesday, so a week ago. That company's overall revenue growth showed as 31% year over year, with an 86% growth in Wizards and digital gaming products, and a 7% in consumer products. Magic the Gathering has basically proved itself again to be a constant driving force behind it. I mean,
Mhm.
anybody that knows Wizards of the Coast knows that Magic the Gathering is a cash cow for them.
Mhm. Yep.
Um, so D&D will have a major category expansion later this year. I'm thinking that's probably more back towards the restructuring and rebuilding of the D&D Beyond platform.
Mhm.
But Hasbro CEO Chris Cox emphasized that there wasn't much more to add to what comes next for the popular TTRPG, beyond him hyping up future video games like Warlock, as well as the recently announced partnership with HBO and Craig Mazin. I think I'm saying that name right. And that obviously is for the talks of the D&D live show. I think they're going to do. I think they said that it's going to be based on Baldur's Gate, and maybe some of the Baldur's Gate 3 characters will cross in, but I don't know. I'm interested to watch it. I'll watch it. I don't care. I'm down for whatever Hasbro and Watson puts out, so long as they're not abusing people or their workers. So
Yeah.
we'll,
I
we'll have a link to that article in the show notes if you guys are interested.
Yeah. I mean, I loved the. Okay, I've brought it up many times, but the Honor Among Thieves movie, I thought it was so
Yeah,
good. I thought, like,
it's a good
in
movie.
terms of movies and shows, that's got to be like the best fan service D&D movie or show that's come out. Like, I don't know, for maybe ever. Like, I mean, it was so good. Everyone loved it. It was just
Did you
fun.
watch? Did you watch the Dungeons and Dragons movie with
From
Jeremy Irons, like
from
the
like the
'90s?
'90s, yeah, I've seen it
Yeah,
before. I don't
I thought
dislike
that
that.
was now.
I don't
It
dislike
wasn't.
it, but
I
you know.
remember being at Dragon Con before that movie came out,
Mm,
and they had the cast and the director there,
mm,
and I think one of the producers, and they had this panel that the Mistress of Mazes and I sat in on, because we were super excited. I mean, we're D&D nerds, have been for decades, and to have a D&D movie up on the big screen. We were super excited.
Mhm.
And then I remember we went to the theaters, and it's like, okay, this isn't quite what they hyped. Still not bad. It feels very much like a group at the table playing D&D. I enjoyed it. So,
Yeah, I didn't dislike
yeah,
that movie. I feel like the Honor Among Thieves was like that
I think it was a
same.
better movie, but
Well,
it was
it was.
also a much better, bigger budget.
Yeah, it was just like kind of that it was a D&D movie for this generation for this time, right? Because
Right.
there's just not much of that. I mean, really, in terms of fantasy, movie and show format. But I really liked it. So anything, if they could get even close to that as a show on HBO, it's gonna just draw in more people, which is all
I
we really
mean,
want.
they can't possibly do any worse than Rings of Power, right? So,
Ah,
I'm
man, I
sorry. Was
hope
that out
not.
loud?
I
Sorry.
hope not.
Sorry. Sorry. Was that
I
out
I
loud?
really
Um,
hope not. Let's hope it's more
that's
like
just
a
me as a
Knight of the Seven
Silmarillion fan.
Kingdoms. Let's hope
Yeah.
it's like a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. I don't know if you've watched that
I
show
hope so.
yet.
I have, and holy cow, is
It
it good?
is easily the
I,
best Game of Thrones
I'm
media.
just, we're talking about being, optimistic.
I know.
I really got into Game of Thrones, and then that last season just really left me flat.
Well,
So,
I got into House of the Dragon too, and I thought season one was great, and then season two for me, it's like started out strong, and then it kind of got like I was like, all right, like when are we gonna pick up and get
yeah,
to it? And it
yeah,
just kind of
yeah.
didn't. It just kind of didn't. But
Same.
Knight of the Seven
Same.
Kingdoms, man, it kicks ass so far. It's so good.
I mean, from right out of from the first shot.
Oh,
So
dude,
we'll
first
talk about
first
that on another
episode
podcast.
all the way through. So anyway,
Yeah,
yeah.
we'll talk about that on another podcast. Let's talk about some Kickstarter news. We didn't really have a lot for you guys last episode, but this episode we are super excited about a one that we've seen that's upcoming. Hasn't started yet. It's called Altheya, Altheya,
Hmm.
the Dragon Empire, and that's going to be a 5e compatible campaign setting, a land where dragons rule, planes of existence clash in eternal wars, and magical vaults hold ancient secrets. So, just a brief little thing up on Kickstarter right now about it, but I'm down for any new 5e settings to check them out. I always like to try to breathe some fresh life into my campaigns. I mean, I love the Forgotten Realms; that'll always be home to me, but I do like the Kingdom of Keshinar campaign we're playing right now, the Egyptian-based one, and I'm always willing to check on new 5e campaign settings just to see if it's something I can play at my table and if it's something that might appeal to some of my players. So,
I think
yeah,
Forgotten Realms are always going to be the best in my opinion. I'm probably biased, but also just keep in mind, number one, it's okay to play other games or other
absolutely. Why
settings,
wouldn't you?
but
Yeah,
also like when you play those other settings, you're going to learn new things, experience new things that you
yeah.
can then homebrew into whatever setting you want. So,
Well, and I mean, with D&D being embracive of the entire multiverse thing,
hmm
I like the idea of having a little bit of crossover. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
basically, if you read any of the Ravenloft books, any of the Realms of Dread books, I mean, there's people coming in from all different sorts of
Hmm.
campaign
Yeah, I
universes.
mean, what's to
Grey
say that?
Hawks.
Yeah, what's to say like a
Yeah,
dragon doesn't come from this Althea plane, and
yeah,
it's like this like it's a dragon that rules this entire plane, kind of like
yeah,
if you play Magic, like Nicol Bolas, like the Dragon Wizard, that's like
yeah,
this all-powerful dragon.
yeah,
Why not intertwine this with whatever campaign you're playing?
yeah.
The book
Agreed.
looks incredible. It's over 200 pages, and the art is
Yeah.
awesome. So,
The art is incredible. So we'll have a link for that in the show notes for you guys to check it out.
mhm.
Give them a look, maybe a follow. We'll see what they shape up for as far as what they're looking from backers when they go live. But we'll keep you posted on that one as more develops. So we've got some movie, game, and pop culture news for you guys this evening. Steven, you want to kick us off because this is your wheelhouse, buddy.
Sure. So the D&D Roll for Initiative Super Drop came out on Secret Lair. Dad and I were kind of keeping our eyes on that because specifically there was one of the sets, and we won't get into the magic and the drama with all the different sets and everything on Secret Lair because honestly I don't like the FOMO culture around it.
Yeah.
However, this was a D&D set and the art was sick, and Dad and I were like, hey, we're gonna try to grab this just to have it because it's D&D. Well, the
Oh yeah.
Blacklight set, which was the retro art that it was a displacer
Yeah.
beast, an experienced adventurer, a wizard. I can't remember his name, but I think it's one of the characters from the lore,
Yeah.
and then like I think a skeleton warrior or something. The art
Yeah. I
was
think it's supposed
like,
to be based on Mordenkainen, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, the art was like, it just looked like 80s kind of rock and roll
Yeah.
retro. It just looked so sick,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
That was like the Blacklight pack. That sold out in like literally instantly, I feel like. Um, so I was pretty bummed about that because
Frame of reference for some of
mm,
you, if you've seen the Dragon Delves alternate cover with that kind of black light kind
mm.
of poster look, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, I'll throw pictures in the video for the guys watching. But
Good,
it's
good.
yeah, over there where he's at.
Yep.
But I was pretty bummed because people are already selling. The set was $40. It's already on TCG Player for $120+ already. Which I hate that.
Scalpers,
I
buddy.
hate that because like I want it to like have because of our podcast and like put it on a shelf or something, and these guys are just buying it literally to just make profit, which I hate. Um,
Yeah.
but anyways, there's other cool sets. Two of them to mind for me. There's one that's called the Lands of the Forgotten Realms, which are obviously land cards. If you play Magic, land cards are how you cast spells and summon monsters and stuff. They have land cards that are reminiscent of Forgotten Realms areas. One of them looked like Undermountain or something was like the
Yeah.
Dark Realm. It looks really cool. So those
Yeah.
land cards would probably be worth picking up. They also have a Strahd set that looks very, very cool.
Yes.
If you like Ravenloft, the Strahd set is very awesome. So I mean, honestly, if they're still around when I get paid next, I'll probably pick them up just to have them.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. They look good. You shared some of the photos with
oh,
me.
they're sick. Yeah,
Um, Yeah, and he's got Steven did put up on our YouTube channel, and we'll
I
put a
did.
link to that here in the show notes too.
Hmm.
He did some package openings for you guys, so he
Yep.
opened some card packs and
Yeah.
did a live unpacking for you, so you guys can check those out. Those are actually getting quite a few views over on YouTube right now. So
Yeah. I think I'm not really. I don't really just buy Magic cards to buy them, but I thought the Lorwyn set was really cool, and so far I've really liked it. It's very D&D esque. Um,
hmm
and I got some of the full art retro frames of like a Goblin Shaman and stuff, and it looks really cool. Um,
yeah,
it's kind of got that same vibe of like '80s fantasy. But
yeah,
one of the videos, and people will flame me for this, but I'm not. I don't really, you know, I play Magic very casually with my friends, and
hmm
I follow the sets very casually through like YouTube channels and stuff. I'm not really into like the pro scene or like what's meta, what's the
right,
best. I'm not really into that stuff. Um,
right,
but my first pack, like literally my first Lorwyn pack I ever bought, I'm cycling through it on YouTube, and I kind of just went right past a card called Chronicle of Victory. And some guy in the comments was like, "Yo, you got Chronicle? That's crazy." And I'm like, "What's Chronicle?" So I had to go back and like look at the card. I'm like, I don't. And it's a
right.
mythic rare. It's worth like it's like a $40 card.
That's
This is
crazy.
my first pack I opened. So anyway, I got that
Wow.
one. I got that one in a sleeve, hanging out now. But I've,
Yeah.
I've had pretty good luck. I think I've spent, let's call it, $40-50, and I think if I sold every card I've drawn, I'd have like $200. So I've had some
Yeah.
some pretty good luck. I've gotten like out of 7 or 8 packs, I think I've gotten like 3 mythic rares. So
Yeah, and what's a shame is I had from the original Magic, the Gathering, from
like
the
the
very
alpha
start,
set.
like the Alpha set, I had literally thousands of cards, and they vanished somewhere over time. I don't know when or moving. They got lost because
What's crazy is an alpha
somebody.
set right now. If you were to sell, if you bought it in the store, like the big box that came with all the alpha packs, if
Yep.
you were to have that still, you could probably sell it for like $100,000 or something.
Yeah, thanks. I'm kicking myself. So, yeah, I know that one of the stores here locally in Atlanta asked me about it, and I said, I've got them. I think I don't know. I haven't seen them in years. I'll have to go and look. And I tore the house apart looking for them. I can't find them. So at
Hmm.
some point, they either got given away or tossed or
Oh,
something.
I
I
mean,
don't
I go through the same thing. Like, I had all the Pokemon cards and everything, and I have no idea where. Morgan, our buddy Morgan, he
know.
somebody sent him on whatnot the 3 Egyptian god cards from Yu-Gi-Oh, and Morgan's like, I
Yeah.
had every one of those in a binder at my house as a kid, and somebody sold all 3 of them for like 30 grand. And Morgan's
Yikes.
and Morgan's like, I think I had like duplicates of all of them just at my house as a kid. But that's, I mean, you
Yeah.
never know what's gonna like catch on 20 years later.
Well,
And
what's
like,
going to blow up 20, 30 years down the road?
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it's the same with comics. I mean, I collected comics for
mm,
years because people told me, oh, they'll be worth something. But those were the people that had like Golden Age and Silver Age comics,
right,
from the 60s and previous that are selling for a fortune. Now comics aren't even worth their book value for the
yeah,
most part. So yeah, I had Comic Nerd. I had dozens and dozens of long boxes of comics for years, and finally just let them go on eBay and YouTube, or eBay and Poshmark and stuff like that to get rid of them. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, let's get into some extra loot. So I wanted to do something a little different this time, and I wanted to give a shout out to an old game. We talk about games on here all the time, but we very seldom get back into the past for some vintage games. So one that I don't know if you guys have ever heard about or not. It's from 1975, the original first edition. It was the Morrow Project. This was from 1975. It was about sleeper teams that were basically put into cryogenic sleep, put into these bunkers deep inside the earth or hidden in mountains, where they were stashed with equipment and vehicles and things of that nature, so that when the world destroyed itself with nuclear war, because I mean, we're thinking about 1975, we're talking about Cold War era. Um, Basically, these people would be woken up by a computer to come back out and reestablish mankind and rebuild Earth and civilization after the bombs dropped. So I actually remember I got the first copy of this when I was in a hospital I was in a pharmaceutical drug testing thing where I was in a hospital at VCU for 2 weeks. And while I was there, a friend of mine who we gamed with said, "Hey, man, I went by a local bookstore and I found this and I wanted to drop it off for you." And he left it at the nurse's desk for me. And it was an original copy of 1975's Morrow Project Rules. And I still have that on my shelf to this day. And it's an amazing book. I read through it in a couple of hours because it wasn't that long.
Mm-hmm.
And we played a few sessions of it within the next couple of months. I've played it a couple times since, but it's a fun game and one I'd really like to get back into. So we'll have a picture of the old book up here floating around for you guys to look at, and I'll get a link for this in the show notes for you guys to check it out. I understand that they were just on Kickstarter a few years ago, where they were getting crowdfunded for the fourth edition of that game. So I didn't even know it was still around. So I'll have to check it out and see
I
what it's
feel
about.
like Fallout had to have taken some inspiration from that. Like,
I'm thinking so.
it
I mean,
had
I'm
to have.
thinking so. Yeah, because I mean, it was the vaults were very similar. I mean, they weren't social experiments. It was just like a military type thing.
Mm-hmm.
So like you had the Mars arm, which was the military arm, and then there was like a scientist arm. I can't remember all of them because it's been 10 or 15 years since we played.
Yeah.
But it was like these three different service branches that would all get together, and I know when we played, I played a scientist who was kind of a he was kind of like a veterinarian, but he also studied animals, animal behavior, things like that. That was part of this Moro project team that would go out and see, is there any wildlife? If are there any that are suitable for farming or having for herd animals for livestock or what have you? But it was a lot of fun because I think of it kind of like a cross between like Mad Max
Mm-hmm.
and kind of maybe like Fallout.
Mm-hmm.
Though Fallout wasn't even a thing back then.
No,
Um,
Fallout didn't come out until like the late '90s. So like
yeah, late '90s, and this
this
is
is way
this was like
before.
80. This is 89 or 90 when I got the book. And like I said, he had found it at a used bookstore.
Yeah,
But
it
it was
came
a
out in
lot of
'70. It came
fun.
out in '75. So that's
75 was when the
yeah.
first one was
That
written.
is
I've got a first print copy of that book. It's an amazing book. A lot of fun. I need to pick it up and read it again. But
yeah.
another thing we wanted to talk about was challenging everyone watching and everyone listening, if you're not already doing this, to take upon yourself the role of an ambassador for TTRPGs.
Mm-hmm.
Not just Dungeons and Dragons, though the Dungeons and Dragons hobby can always use good ambassadors for it. I'm talking about for any TTRPGs in general. I mean, we play a lot of different TTRPGs, board games, things like that. I'm not trying to be preachy. I just want people to be inclusive and try to invite new people from outside of kind of the general stereotype of what a gamer is.
Mm-hmm.
Invite young people to play so that we can continue to grow as a community.
Mm-hmm.
I'd really like to see people doing that. Some of the people I follow on Instagram, like Teachers in the Dungeon, are a group of teachers that are actually like teaching kids after school. They have an after school program for Dungeons and Dragons and stuff
That's
like
very
that,
cool.
which I think is awesome. I love that that was being done before the Satanic Panic back in the '80s, and I thought it
Mm-hmm.
was awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
I know.
I could preach to kind of the same point as like Josh is a close friend of both of ours now, and you know he likes all the same stuff we like, and it was still kind of it took work to get him to kind of be like, okay, I'll give you a night every week or every 2 weeks to play this, and get through the whole initial like info dump of a character sheet and setting all that up and reading the book. Like it's, I think a lot of people are put off by that, and it's important to kind of help them, and as we said before, be like a steward or like a shepherd for this hobby. Like get them through that initial bump, so it's like, oh, I mean, now it's like I think Josh is the most excited every week to play. Like
Yeah, it's
he's
pretty
the one
exciting.
that's like, I'll play every week. I don't care. Like he is the one that is. I mean, don't get me wrong, we're all excited, but like
Yeah,
seeing it
but
like
he's the first one every week. He's the
every
first
time
one in chat room.
he's in the chat, he's
Every
talking
time.
in the chat, he's sending memes in the chat. Like he is all about it. He talks about D&D at work every day. Like, and like to me, it's like this is the first kind of like I helped a friend get into the hobby, which I never
Yeah.
have before. And it's cool because I think you put out a video on Instagram or you shared a video in your story where somebody was explaining, why tabletops are so fun. And I couldn't have said it better myself. He was explaining, playing a video game, it's like there's just these blockers up because the game is built by another person. It's built and
Yeah.
it's a finished product. When it's handed to you, it's done. You
Yeah.
cannot play a game and then add another level yourself like it's over.
Yeah.
Even good games, like let's say Left 4 Dead, that's procedurally generated, you're going to
Yeah.
run into things where it's like, well, that's just how the game works. That's the
Yeah.
end. And with D&D, it's like how I picture it in my brain and how I explain it to people that aren't in the hobby yet is I say you're with the dungeon master and the players, you're kind of all telling a story together at the same time.
Right.
So it's almost
Right.
like a Mad Lib where it's like, oh, I do this. Okay, well, this happens. Well, then I do this. And it's like you're unfolding this story together at the same
Yeah.
time. There really is no barriers other than common sense, really. And like, I shouldn't do that because that's a bad idea. But other than that, like, the world is literally your oyster. And even the bad ideas
Yeah.
have their own place inside of it. And like, for
Yeah.
me, like, I can personally say, and I'm writing an article about this on our website that's not out yet. Um, you know,
Check back. It'll be here soon.
yeah, but like I'm kind of finding myself like I used to play games constant. Well, not constantly, but every time I was free, I was playing a game. When the kiddos asleep and all the chores are done, it's like okay, I got an hour. I'm gonna play a game. Well, now I find myself
Right.
kind of yeah, I still do that, but like my frequency's way down. On the nights where I'm not playing a game, I'm looking up D&D stuff, looking up TTRPGs, designing a TTRPG just for fun, and like all this stuff around the hobby. My interest has shifted, and I think a lot of it is just how if you're creative, how freeing it is to play something that doesn't box you in as
Right.
obviously as a game or really anything does. There's really no
Right.
barriers. If you don't want there to be, there isn't any.
Yeah, and within reason, so long as it's not disruptive to the story, I try to present my players with a sandbox universe, right?
Hmm.
The world should be a living, breathing world. If you do something, the world is going to react.
Yeah.
If the world doesn't react, that's where you feel like you're kind of locked into that chapter
On rails.
progression kind of storytelling that you get with TTRPGs in a video game.
Hmm.
If I play Fallout, I can pursue several different storylines, but those storylines are within boundaries.
Yeah, and there
They
is
can
a
only go
limit.
linearly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's a limit. Based
Yeah.
on your decisions, it either ends or you progress to the very end, then it ends.
Yeah.
With D&D, I like to have, well, with any TTRPG, but D&D in particular, you know, my players at the table of the flag, at the order of the flag, and said, "How long do you want to play?" I said, "I'll play as long as you guys want to play.
Hmm.
If you want to play to 10th level and stop, we'll play 10th level and stop. If you want to go to 20th level and have epic level characters, I'm down. Let's do it."
Hmm.
And and I mean it. I want them to interact with that world, understand there are limits, there are boundaries. The world does push back. People in the world will push back. They're not just NPCs with a couple of cans of
Yeah, they're not
dialogue, and
cardboard.
that's all they spit back at you. They are living, breathing people just like you.
Hmm.
When you're gone from town, their lives go on. When you come back, their life has progressed, however long you've been gone.
Well,
Um,
I think that is a very high level DM skill though. Like I think you don't give yourself enough credit because I don't think a lot of DMs think that way. And maybe some of the good ones do, but like, to leave town and come back and things are different, that's like a high level like storytelling move.
well,
Show that to the player like, "Oh, while you were gone, that guard that you knew, he's moved on or he's dead. He got killed in a fight or that's very cool."
and I do that, randomly, like, and I'll do it sometimes for that kind of gut punch moment with the players.
Hmm.
They get attached to an NPC every time I go to this tavern. I see this
Hmm.
person. Well, I've come in now 2 nights in a row and I haven't seen that person, so I'm going to ask, "Hey, where's so and so?" Oh,
Yeah.
you didn't hear? Well, so and so was murdered on their way home 3 nights ago.
Yeah.
Holy crap! Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That puts those little ripples into the storyline. It's a potential plot hook for a player. Well, hey, I kind of cared about that NPC. Let's find out what happened,
Well,
and they dig into it.
I could give you.
Or
I
if
mean,
nothing else, it gets an emotional response from my players.
yeah. Well, I could tell you like one in our game was the whole like the beginning of the Millennia plot,
Mm-hmm.
where she was in that stronghold basically. I mean, it looks like a house, but really it's a stronghold, and
Mm-hmm.
she was in prison there. And basically, you told me if y'all had made other choices and done things differently, she probably would have been dead the next day or two in game. Like
Probably,
she would have been dead. And
probably.
I didn't really notice like the gravity of like because we were trying to and the recaps are out there, so like spoiler but not spoiler. But
Spoiler, not spoiler.
we were kind of like, okay, well, we should try to find her before this hostage exchange, basically, and all this stuff. And on a whim, I was like, well, I sneak the best. Let me take the amulet to try to track her and get in there and see what I can do.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, you let us play it however we wanted. You didn't really, tell us what way or that, what you thought was going to happen versus not. You let us play it, and at the end, you were like, "Yeah, dude, like, I fully expected this character to be dead, and I didn't expect y'all to do what you did, and you did, and now she's alive."
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, and that's the way a story should be.
yeah,
Sometimes there will be certain plot points a DM might want to kind of set in stone,
mm-hmm,
like milestones for the progression of the campaign.
right,
But all of those things in between should be responsive to
mm-hmm,
players and what players do. Their decisions should feel impactful. When a
mm-hmm,
player makes a decision, they should feel that it's had a ripple effect upon the world around them.
right,
If you don't, you're railroading.
yeah.
If what your players are doing has no impact to the NPCs or the world around them, then your players are going to start asking, well, then why am I making any choices?
Yeah, it just that feeling of like the best way I can describe it is like if you're bowling and you take the bumpers off. That's what kind of playing D&D feels like versus like a
Yeah,
video game. Because in a video
yeah,
game, like you could save the game. There's
yeah,
checkpoints. There's ways that there's like a cozy way to be like, okay, let me fall back and let me, With D&D, it's like the things happen in the moment. You cannot unkill an NPC or save an NPC that's dead unless you're a necromancer, which I would not do. Um, but like but like it just feels like it's kind of that like I have one shot. I have to just make the best decision that I can in the moment, and like the repercussions of things, even small things, exist for your character's life. Like they are there. That's
right,
it, and it's scary for new players, but also like very
right,
liberating if you're somebody that's played a lot of video games or done a lot of other hobbies to come into something that feels like you're molding the story yourself with a group of people, like-minded people, including the DM. It's just cool. It's like a totally like I said. I've my interests have almost completely shifted, and I mean all Josh and I talk about are D&D. Our group of friends that we were playing like me, Nathan, and Josh played games like 3 nights a week, and now if we're on, we're talking about D&D and theory crafting and talking about our plan and all. I mean, it's just completely changed.
yeah.
So
It
just
can it can be addictive because it's if a good campaign. Like I try to leave all of my sessions with kind of at a good stopping point or like a cliffhanger,
mhm,
so that build anticipation for the next session.
yeah,
Because I want my players to have fun at the table. I want them to enjoy the game. I want them to come back.
mhm,
I want to keep that enthusiasm going. So, you know, that bleeds over into other things because when you're not sitting at the table, you're thinking about, okay, what is my character going to do when I get back to the table? Am I going to do this? Do I want to pursue that? What about this person over here? Do they know what I'm? Do they are they are they trustworthy?
yeah,
Are they part of this plot? So there's these things that keep you going,
yeah.
and that just builds that
Well, I
anticipation
mean,
and
like I
excitement for
said,
the next
every
session.
at the beginning of every session, I send my dad a bunch of questions because all week I have a Google document that's like things I want to touch back on. Like, and I have things like I have questions for dad. I have things I want to remember myself. Like, I need to buy more
Right.
health potions. I need to do this. I even had a note to have my dad. I hired somebody to watch an NPC in the game because I was like, do I really
Yeah.
trust that person? And that was all stuff that I'm like doing chores around the house, and I go, ooh, wait a second, I meant to ask this, or I meant to do this other thing, and I just write it down. So anyway,
Right.
as far as ambassador, I think like Dad said, we could all do better. We could all do more, and honestly, just try to get more people because I wish, even with my dad, it took me years to get back into the hobby, and like this is really the first time I've like deep dove into it myself as an adult, like, making my own decisions. Dad finally was like, dude, just do it, trust me, and I did it, and I'm like, holy shit, like, this is the hobby I want to do right now. This is what I think about most of the time. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So raise them right, kids. So, so you had a question for me, Stephen. If
Yeah.
you could go back and tell yourself a piece of advice about TTRPGs,
Hmm.
what would it be?
Just kind of like a you now going back to like a young you, and it could be game advice or like real life advice of like revolving around the game. You know what I mean?
So I think I would tell. I mean, for the first 3 or 4 years that I was involved with TTRPGs, it was all Dungeons and Dragons.
Mm.
It was the first edition books, then it was the basic box set, the expert box set, and that's all I would play for years. I
Hmm.
mean, probably the first 5 or 6 years I was involved in TTRPGs. We did briefly kind of jump into Star Frontiers. I picked up the box sets for that. Anybody knows what I'm talking about? TSR put out a box set of like space exploration and
Yeah,
combat.
we've covered
It
that
was
I think
really good.
once in one of the earlier episodes. I
Yeah, we
think.
talked about it once an episode before, and I've posted some artwork and stuff for it over on my Instagram. But
Hmm.
great set. We didn't really play. We played it once or twice, just kind of experimented with it. It's like, we never really got back to it.
Hmm.
Um, I would go back in time and tell myself to be more open and make myself available emotionally, and experiment more with games. Like, there were lots of games around that I just never tried because back then we're talking pre-internet, pre-cell phone. So you most of your exposure to games was through people you knew. So my cousin Jerry's the one who got me into D&D. I didn't have the internet. I didn't have video games. I didn't have, I mean, we had Atari, but um, you didn't really have anything like a local store you could go to where I grew up. The closest store is 45 miles away,
Hmm.
and my mother wouldn't take me there because of the satanic panic thing.
Hmm.
But, I would say be more open and willing to try new games, even just once.
Hmm.
I mean, because you never know what you're going to find out there that you really enjoy. Like, I tried Vicen. I love the game Vicen, based on Scandinavian mythos and horror. That's a great game. I tried Fallout, and I loved Fallout. I think that's a great game. I'd like to get back into that. But I see all these other games coming out too now through Kickstarter, not just 5e setting compatible deals, but other games like
Hmm.
Oathbreaker and things like that that have me excited. I want to try them out,
Hmm.
because there's always new things to learn and new games to play and new passions to find and discover. We just got to be available to do it.
Hmm.
So that would be what I would tell myself if I had the opportunity.
Nice.
That and buy stock in Apple and IBM. So,
Yeah.
um, so what, you had another question too, Stephen.
Yeah, I wish I could. I wish I had an opinion on this one because I love like everyone that knows me knows I'm kind of like a theory craft and like build nerd. I love theory. I almost have more fun theory crafting and building a character than I do playing it. Like that's just where I find most interesting. But I said, what is a monster in D&D that you feel is too powerful? Now, I don't want you to think like level 20 god characters. I want you to think like,
Right,
let's
right.
say you're a level 1 character, there's like a level 1 to 2 monster that is just punishing if you roll bad against.
I mean, like, shadows can be tough, because they're negative planular creatures, and they can draw the strength off of you.
Mm,
And if you get to zero strength, you die and you raise as a shadow. Um,
yeah.
there are lots of creatures at every CR level that, if a DM plays them correctly, and a DM plays them taking into account the book, the monsters know what they're doing. If monsters aren't just dumb bags of hit points, any monster can be a challenge for your players.
I agree.
Um, but if I had to say which one is too powerful, I mean, you're talking about creatures as you get higher in levels. Gnolls are a lower level creature that are pretty powerful,
Mhm.
especially since they get pack tactics and they can rage and things like that. So
Mhm.
they're really powerful. They're scary at lower levels. But then you get into creatures like the Beholder, dragons,
Mhm.
Draco Liches, things like that. Their power levels are strong, but easily overcome by a party that's in that challenge rating. where your monsters become truly powerful is if you play them like bosses, right?
Mm-hmm.
A boss monster isn't going to fight you if it doesn't have to. That's what its minions are for. So
Mm-hmm.
it has its minions attack you. It uses misdirection. It uses, you know, subversion and things like that to keep your players off balance. And a straight up fight, most creatures cannot hang with a party that's of a commiserate challenge rating
Mm-hmm.
level. They just can't,
What
unless the dice are very poorly.
what challenge rating is a banshee?
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure. Let's look
I
it
feel
up.
like I remember you and I
I'm
talking
sure
about
somebody's typing it
banshees.
in the comments right now as we talk.
I
Off
remember
the top of my head, I want to say 4 or 5
well,
or 5.
you and I talked about them before, and if they use their like that banshee screech or whatever, like
A
the
banshee
effect.
whale, which
Yeah,
can kill you.
yeah.
Which
So
can
like
kill.
I remember you talking
So,
about this before, and I was like, that seems like so powerful.
so a banshee is a CR4, which
Yeah,
is what I thought is either 4 or 5. But yeah, their whale, which they can do once a day, they release that whale. Any creature within the effect, any creature within 30 feet of her that can hear her has to make a DC 13 Constitution save. If you fail, you drop to 0 hit points.
yeah. I mean that is
Just like that.
that's insane. Like that is a
Yeah,
crazy power.
and it doesn't say what the cap is, so I'm thinking that works on 20th level characters.
Why
You know,
not?
now
Why not?
obviously DC 13 Constitution checks probably not much for you, but
Still,
you screw around, roll a one.
yeah. I
You have
mean,
no.
the thing is, a D20 doesn't know what level you are. So like, you roll a D20, it's like you're level 1, level 20. It's gonna roll. Like it don't matter.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And I mean, then you're talking about if you succeed, you take 3d6, the average being 10 psychic damage.
that's a lot.
That's, I mean, so it's either death or you take a lot of psychic
You're hurting.
damage.
Yeah, I mean that would
You're
literally
hurting.
one shot my character right now. Like if I just turn the corner and there's a
Yeah,
banshee
first
there.
level characters,
Yeah, I
but
mean,
I wouldn't put first level characters up
well,
against the banshee
sure, but I'm
because
just
of
for power scaling, like that is crazy power. Um,
now, third, fourth, maybe fifth level character, sure, I might do it.
yeah,
Um, but you know, I mean, the way around that is, you know, okay, they have the whale, but maybe the characters get some information that leads them to believe there is a
they
banshee.
can
If the
prepare.
characters do they can prepare if they
Right.
know what they're doing. So yeah, I mean,
Um,
I'm not gonna throw them into a
well,
room and a random encounter.
yeah, I mean, I think a good DM is never going to just like oppress you with like an unwinnable scenario.
You make now. We always go back to my favorite saying, which is you're free to choose, but you're not free from the choices of your consequences, so, or consequences of your choices.
Yeah,
So you make a bad decision to split the party when you know that splitting the party is probably going to doom the
I
party.
I was so worried that night that I was trying to find Melania because I just felt like so unsafe. Like that's all the
Right.
whole time I was doing it. I was like, is this a giant
Well,
mistake?
well, that's how it should feel, right? Like
Yeah.
if you're in a party and you know you're in a dangerous city and you're kind of wrapped up in this political conspiracy, do you really want to be alone anytime?
Yeah, and like
But
I
at
mean,
that point,
I didn't. Yeah,
at that point, in that situation, it was the right choice because you know your mages are going to be able to stealth.
and
Your big chainmail wearing fighter friend definitely
yeah,
can't stealth.
I just felt like
So
it was the only like if Melania was gonna live, I had to do it alone, and like
yeah,
I had to use my inspiration point to save it at a certain moment. I had to get a kill. I didn't want to kill. I don't want to kill anybody if I can help it.
yeah,
Especially because like that guard, you know, he's probably just following orders. Who knows if he even
yeah,
believes or knows what this guy's doing? But it's like
yeah,
it's me versus this guy. Like, or to save this woman's life, I just have to do it.
yeah.
So it was just like so many things went right, and it was like an all like I mean we talked about this before. It was such a cool feeling because like I
Yeah.
felt vulnerable, which like I don't know the last time I played a video game and felt in real life like I'm vulnerable. I could, this is
Yeah.
bad. This is scary. Like I felt that way. Um,
Anybody that wants to see how he felt, I mean, I think we put up. I don't know,
oh,
did we put up a short
dude,
view?
there is a well, I called it a not so short because it's 16 minutes, but like
Yeah,
I felt like I couldn't really cut it because it was all like like it was like one
it was all
moment.
like one scene,
And it
one
was
long
like it
scene.
was basically from me getting her out of her cell to me getting her over the wall. It was like 16
Yeah,
minutes, and it was like
yeah,
it was a like anxiety roller coaster. It was unbelievable.
yeah.
Um,
But the perfect part of that, if you guys go and watch it, and we'll post a link for it in the show notes,
mm,
is at the end where Steven looks like he's about to hyperventilate.
dude,
He's just,
I
and I'm just like, that's what I live for as a
dude,
DM,
it was
is
like
to elicit that kind of reaction.
well, I needed to hit a stealth check or a strength check, which I'm never gonna hit as my character. and Melania fell off the wall, and like we only had a couple minutes until the guard came back over, and I'm like, I'm never gonna hit this, so I missed it. I hit my inspiration, and I rolled a nat 20 on it, and it was like, oh my god, like I just could not believe it. I'm like, and like once we got over, and I'm like, there's no guards, right? And Dad's like, there's no more guards. I was like, I felt like I had walked through a minefield for 10 straight minutes and somehow didn't hit one.
Right. Yeah.
But anyways,
That's what it's all about.
it's awesome.
Yeah.
So the flip side of that, and we'll end it here.
Mhm.
Is there a monster that you feel like is designed perfectly? So like when your players fight it, it's challenging, but it's not like so overbearing that players like see it and go, "Oh, here we go." It's this thing, like plot device number one that's going to make this.
Right. Right. I would have to say of of the creatures I think are probably like balanced pretty well, and not being used as like a BBEG. Um, Vampire's a good one, because vampires can be smart, they can be cunning, they can be crafty. They're strong in a fight, but they also have the capability of getting away, giving you that kind of gotcha moment for your players where they have the guy on the ropes, and then he turns to mist and fades away, and they can't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
I love the vampire for that. I like dragons, especially lower level dragons, like young adult dragons and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Great challenge for your players. Lair actions, things like that that they can use, so they're balanced enough to present a challenge, but not an insurmountable one for your players. So a lot of the balancing comes into your DM and how they're role playing that and how they're interacting with the party and what the party does. But yeah, that's a
Cool.
very good question.
Yeah, I'll save the next two for the next episode. I don't want to go on too long here, but nice answer there.
Yeah. So with that, we will leave you guys. This is episode number 20 of the MazeCast. We hope you've stuck out with us. If you have, we appreciate it. Please smash that like button, hit the subscribe and the notify button if you haven't already done so.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have some cool little animation up here to show you what to do.
Mm-hmm.
We would love to have you guys here. We are up to 53 subscribers now. Pretty
Yep.
excited about and still growing. So share with friends. Check us out on our other social medias. We'll have a link here for that as well. And until next time, when we see you back here in the maze, stay safe, love this community,
Mm-hmm.
be an ambassador for TTRPGs, and keep your sword on free. Thanks, everybody.
Later,
Good
boys.
night.